Hey everyone, my name is Austin, and in this video I wanted to go over the very basic level of understanding for USB cables. What options are out there, which devices use which connector types, as well as a few other terms you might hear. I will try to go more in depth in other videos since this topic can get very deep and complex, so please watch out for those videos, as well as if you want to know more about power usage, data transfers, and other things. So just to go into a little bit more about the landscape of USB cable types, it's a bit crazy. It was introduced as a universal connector for just about every type of external device that you wanted to plug into your computer. The issue now in terms of physical connector is that we have USB-A, we have USB-B, we have USB-C, mini USB, micro USB, and so much other types of cables depending on which company comes out with the device and if they wanted to do some kind of proprietary connector. There's also things like the speeds of the cables, whether it's USB 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, or 4.0. This kind of layout is confusing. I've been dealing with this since the early days of USB, and I still get confused because sometimes it's just hard to tell what the speed of a cable is or what its capability of charging is just by looking at it. In this video, I'm hoping to help reduce some of those confusions and try to keep it as easy to follow as possible. So let's start off with USB-A. That's the standard that's been out since the late 90s, and I'm sure everyone's seen that kind of cable. Most desktop computers have this type of connector, and some Windows laptops still use this connector to this day. USB-A is the side of the cable that normally plugs into the computer, with the other side being a number of different types of connections. Usually it's for your phone, tablet, printer, or other type of peripherals you would plug into your computer. Due to the size of the port, they're slowly being replaced by the smaller standard USB standard, which I will talk about shortly. So the next one on my list is USB-B, and that has two different versions depending on if it's a USB 2.0 or USB 3.0. And this type of connector is used in things like printers, scanners, older external hard drives, and even some audio equipment these days. Due to its size compared to the newer USB-C standard, USB-B is another standard that is slowly dying out as well. Which moves us on to the latest standard, which is USB-C. And this is the standard that's out on the market now, and most external peripherals like Android phones, as well as even the latest iPads, use this type of connector. And all kinds of other ones like external hard drives and other devices will use this. And I'm guessing in the next few years, pretty much every device will use this with a few exceptions. USB-C has become a standard in so many these days for a good reason. Depending on the cable, it has the ability to not only transmit data at high speeds, but also enough power to charge the device, like laptops. The next physical USB standard on my list is the Lightning cable, which is an Apple proprietary cable, so it's only used in Apple products. This cable has been around since 2012. The issue with this cable is it only has a speed of USB 2.0. Apple seems to be moving away from this cable slowly, but I'm not quite sure yet as to the future of this cable. Apple definitely needs to improve it or replace it very soon, as file sizes for videos and pictures are getting bigger and bigger, and transferring stuff over the cable, especially with the USB-C standard, is a lot faster than trying to download it from the internet. Like I said earlier, Apple has moved many of their devices over to USB-C or C/Thunderbolt standard, with the exception of its phones at this point, and a couple of their tablets. So the next set of cable ends I'm going to talk about are used with both USB-A and USB-C, but these type of connectors are typically on the other end, and the first one is called mini USB. So mini USB is a standard that is no longer used much in the tech world, but I wanted to show it here anyway, as there are still older devices that people own that use this type of cable. This standard was used for MP3 players, digital cameras, and other type of smaller mobile devices. This was one of the first standards for USB to be used with these type of devices. So the next one on the list is micro USB, which replaced mini USB due to its smaller size and its faster capable speeds, and was used for external drives, cameras, MP3 players, charging Bluetooth speakers, smartphones, and many other small devices. But this standard is slowly dying out due to USB-C coming around in 2017. Like I said earlier, there's a lot more to dive into about hardware, but this is the basic understanding about USB cables. Without going into too much history, the USB standard over the years has changed in terms of how fast data can be transferred over the cable, as well as how much power can be transferred over the cable to charge devices. In terms of versions, we started off in the 90s with USB 1.0, and we've gone through the different versions all the way up to USB 4.0, which is using the USB-C cable these days. Every time we have a new version, the speed would increase, and sometimes the type of connector on one end would also change to be able to handle the new standard. The good news is that most of the more recent devices have more or less settled on the USB-C type cable standard. The bad news is that depending on the type and/or quality of the cable you get, can make the difference between how fast your data transfers and/or how fast your device charges. Keep in mind that just because you buy a fancy cable with the best specs doesn't mean you'll get that capability. All devices in line, which I mean like the computer, the cable, and the external device you're plugging into, whether that be a phone or another type of device, as well as the power brick you use, needs to support this type of speed and/or power in order for it all to work together. So check the manufacturer specifications to know what it's capable of in terms of speed and charging rates. I will dive into this more in another video, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching.